Chapter 6 Government Shadows. The encounter with the Kraltivores left both Lucas and Selenia on edge, a palpable tension settling between them as they navigated their way back. The desert seemed to watch them silently, an indifferent observer to the drama that had unfolded. With the stolen alien equipment safely stowed in the back of the truck, their thoughts now turned to the potential repercussions of their actions. As they approached the outskirts of town, Lucas's old pickup truck rumbled a steady cadence, a stark contrast to the rapid pace of their earlier escape. The morning was now fully upon them, the sun climbing higher, casting long, stark shadows across the dusty landscape. But it wasn't just the sun that was rising. The possibility of government involvement was looming larger by the minute, an ominous cloud on their horizon. "We need to be careful," Lucas said, his voice low. "I don't know how much the government knows, but after that call on the radio, it's clear they're aware something's up." Selenia nodded, her eyes scanning the environment with an intensity born of her own experiences with authority. "On my planet, the authorities can be relentless. We should assume yours are the same." They reached Lucas's house, the familiarity of its facade doing little to ease the sense of unease that had taken root. They quickly unloaded the equipment, stashing it in Lucas's workshop, a cluttered space filled with the tools and remnants of many projects. As they organized the salvaged parts, the sound of an approaching vehicle drew their attention. Lucas peered out through the grimy window of the workshop, his eyes narrowing. "Looks like a government SUV. Black tinted windows. Can't get more official than that." Selenia stepped back from the window, her mind racing through scenarios. "I'll stay out of sight. It's better if they don't know about me yet, not until we understand their intentions." Lucas agreed, and Selenia slipped into the back room just as a sharp knock echoed through the house. Lucas wiped his hands on a rag, took a deep breath to calm his nerves, and opened the door. Standing on the doorstep were two individuals, a man and a woman, both dressed in nondescript dark suits. Their badges were prominently displayed, and their expressions were serious, almost grave. "Mr. Lucas Ford?" the woman asked, her tone formal. "That's me," Lucas replied, his voice steady. "How can I help you?" The man stepped forward, glancing past Lucas into the interior of the house. "We're with the Department of Homeland Security. We've had reports of unusual activity in this area, possibly related to national security. We'd like to ask you a few questions." Lucas nodded, masking his anxiety with a calm exterior. "Sure, but can I ask what this is about?" The woman exchanged a look with her colleague before responding. "There's been an incident. Something crashed in the desert last night. We're trying to ascertain what it was and if there's any threat." Lucas maintained his composure. "Oh, I heard some loud noises last night. Thought it might be a meteor or something. I haven't seen anything unusual, though." The agents noted his response, their expressions unreadable. "Do you mind if we take a look around?" the man asked, his gaze drifting towards the workshop. "Not at all," Lucas responded, leading them toward the workshop. He kept his pace deliberate, giving Selenia time to stay hidden. As the agents inspected the workshop, their eyes skimmed over the alien technology, which Lucas had covered with tarps and mixed with his earthly tools and projects. To an untrained eye, it all looked like part of the usual detritus of a mechanic's space. Satisfied with their cursory look and finding no obvious signs of extraterrestrial technology, the agents left, leaving their card with Lucas. "If you see anything unusual, give us a call," the woman said, her tone implying it wasn't merely a request. Once they were gone, Lucas let out a long, slow breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. He went to find Selenia, who was waiting quietly in the shadows. "They're gone for now," he said, the relief evident in his voice. Selenia stepped out into the light, her expression thoughtful. "This is just the beginning, Lucas. We need to be more cautious. They will be watching." As they sat down to discuss their next steps, the gravity of their situation settled around them like the dust from the desert. They were entangled now, not just with alien scavengers, but with Lucas's own government, a potentially far more dangerous adversary. The path forward was fraught with shadows and uncertainties, but one thing was clear. They would have to navigate it together. Chapter 7: Bonds Beyond Worlds. After the government agents departed, an uneasy quiet settled over Lucas's homestead. The encounter left a residue of wariness that lingered like the fine desert dust on the windowsills. Lucas and Selenia retreated to the privacy of the sun-dappled porch to strategize, each carrying the weight of the morning's encounters. Lucas pulled 2 chairs up to the old wooden table, the surface weathered from years of exposure to the harsh desert sun. As they sat, the atmosphere was thick with contemplation, their minds racing through the possibilities of their newfound partnership and its implications. "Seems we're in deeper than I thought," Lucas said, breaking the silence. His hands were clasped tightly together, his knuckles whitening with the grip. "If the government is on high alert, moving around will get trickier." Selenia nodded, her expression serene yet alert. "Your authorities are cautious and thorough. This is good for the safety of your world, but difficult for us." Her eyes, reflecting the azure and emerald hues of distant seas, met his with a depth of understanding. "We must tread carefully, but also swiftly. The components we gathered are crucial for constructing a beacon. If I can send a distress signal to my people—" Her voice trailed off as she considered the vast distances her signal must travel, the uncertainty of who might respond and when. Lucas, seeing the flicker of doubt in her eyes, reached out, covering her hand with his in a gesture of solidarity. "We'll make it work," he assured her. "You're not alone in this, not anymore." Their conversation drifted towards the technological aspects of their plan. Selenia explained the intricacies of her people's communication technology, a fascinating fusion of quantum entanglement and electromagnetic pulses, far beyond human current capabilities. Lucas, though not fully grasping the details, admired the elegance of the science. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows over the landscape, they decided to use the remaining daylight to test some of the salvaged equipment. In the cluttered sanctuary of the workshop, amid tools and parts both alien and familiar, they found common ground in their shared goal. Lucas watched in awe as Selenia delicately manipulated the alien devices, her fingers deft and sure. Each component she touched seemed to respond, lighting up and humming softly, as if recognizing its master's touch. "Amazing," Lucas murmured, his previous life as a simple mechanic seeming suddenly small and distant. "It is merely different, not better," Selenia responded, her voice gentle. "Your world has wonders of its own, Lucas. Your kindness and bravery are rare treasures." As night fell, they tested the makeshift beacon. A soft whir of energy filled the room, and for a moment, a pulse of light shot upwards, penetrating the workshop's ceiling, pointing towards the stars. It was a brief but hopeful sign that their efforts were not in vain. Flushed with their success, they stepped outside, looking up at the vast, star-filled sky. The air was cool, carrying the scent of desert sage. Around them, the world was quiet, save for the distant howl of a coyote. "This is beautiful," Selenia said, her voice soft, filled with a reverence that made Lucas look at his surroundings with fresh eyes. "Your planet. It's very beautiful." Lucas smiled, his gaze still fixed on the stars. "It's easy to forget sometimes, but yeah, it's pretty special." They stood in companionable silence, each lost in thought. For Selenia, Earth was becoming less of a foreign land and more of a sanctuary, a place of unexpected alliances and potential new beginnings. For Lucas, the universe had expanded beyond his wildest imaginations, now filled with possibilities and new understandings. "It's going to be a tough road ahead," Lucas finally said, turning to look at Selenia. Her profile was lit by the starlight, her features soft yet resilient. "But I think we can handle it together." "Yes, together," she agreed, a smile touching her lips, the bond between them strengthening, rooted in shared challenges and mutual respect. As they returned to the house, the night deepened around them, a blanket of darkness under which they could forge their plans, shielded for a moment from the eyes of the world. They were two beings from different stars, brought together by fate and a shared quest for survival. In the stillness of the desert night, they were not alien and human, but simply companions, watching the stars and dreaming of tomorrow. Chapter 8. Betrayal of Kin. Under the vast, unforgiving expanse of the desert sky, as the dusk bled into darkness, a new player arrived, silent and ominous. The night was unusually still, the desert holding its breath as a sleek vessel descended with an almost spectral quietude. It landed with precision near the outskirts of the small, unsuspecting town, its presence an unspoken threat cloaked in the guise of diplomacy. Selenia, who had been attuning the beacon in Lucas's workshop, paused. A chill ran down her spine, an instinctual response to an all-too-familiar energy signature. "They're here," she whispered, her voice barely carrying over the soft hum of the equipment. Lucas, who had been watching her work with a mixture of admiration and concern, looked up sharply. "Who's here? The government again?" "No, not your government," Selenia replied, her voice tense. "My people, but not just any emissaries from the council. They shouldn't have found me so quickly." The implications were dire, and both knew it instantly. Lucas's makeshift home, once a place of safety and solitude, now felt exposed, vulnerable under the vast starlit sky. Without another word, they moved. Selenia led, her movements swift and purposeful. They approached the landing site under the cover of night, using the rolling dunes as concealment. As they neared, the silhouette of the vessel became discernible, a sleek design, its surfaces smooth and reflective, a stark contrast to the rugged, natural lines of the desert environment. Hiding behind the crest of a dune, they watched as three figures disembarked from the craft. They were tall, like Selenia, their features similar, yet marked by an air of authority and cold intent. "We need to know why they are here," Selenia murmured, her eyes not leaving the figures as they began setting up some sort of perimeter device. "If they realize I am attempting to contact our homeworld independently—" Lucas nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "What can we do?" "Listen and observe. We must gather information before we make any moves," Selenia responded, her gaze sharp, her mind racing through possible scenarios. Using a small, advanced listening device, Selenia tuned into the frequency used by her people. The static cleared, and they heard the emissaries' voices, cold and methodical. "The fugitive must be contained," said one, his voice void of emotion. "The Council fears she may compromise our plans for this planet." Another replied, "Her beacon signal was traced. It is only a matter of time before we find her. We must secure the technology and eliminate any interference." The words struck Selenia like physical blows. Betrayal by her own kind, for reasons she couldn't fully understand. Reasons that apparently included exploiting Earth, perhaps in ways harmful to its inhabitants. Lucas, sensing her distress, placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "We won't let that happen," he assured her, his voice low but fierce. They waited until the emissaries re-entered their ship, presumably to report back to their superiors. Selenia and Lucas retreated silently to the workshop, where the weight of the night's revelations hung between them. Back in the safety of the workshop, Selenia felt the isolation of her situation more acutely than ever before. "Lucas, I am truly alone now. They will not stop. They cannot. Not if they believe I am a threat to their objectives." Lucas looked at her, his determination a tangible thing in the dim light of the workshop. "Then we change the game. We make the first move. We show them that you, and now I, are not just obstacles, but formidable adversaries." Together they worked through the night, modifying the beacon into something more. A defensive measure, a way to shield their location, and perhaps even send a false signal to mislead her pursuers. As dawn crept over the horizon, painting the sky with streaks of gold and pink, they activated their newly configured device. A pulse of deep, resonant energy surged through the air, powerful and controlled, its path directed away from their true location. Exhausted but resolute, they watched the horizon, ready for the next move in this high-stakes chess game. Selenia, standing beside Lucas, felt an unexpected sense of belonging. Here on Earth, against all odds, she had found an ally, a friend, a co-conspirator, and no matter what her own kind planned, she knew she would stand her ground. She would protect this world that was slowly becoming her home.